right, creatures of the night. Welcome to Talking Taker, episode number 98 of our encyclopedic exploration digging of the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. My name is Alex Dorio, and I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking. And I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my co-host, my fellow creature of the night, the little oil hoochie himself, Mr. Travis White. Travis, dude, this time... Go ahead.
I may have lost the apple body argument, but I won the oil hoochie.
Oh, you did, man. 100%. But I'm getting kind of sad, dude, because our time traveling motorcycle is about to run out of gas here. We're creeping towards the finish line for this Biker Taker era, and I'm just glad we get to finish it off tonight covering a fantastic match between Vince McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, because that's what we're talking about tonight, right?
It seems like it, because that just it permeates the entire 8 weeks we're about to cover. I mean, it is just from top to bottom, the McMahon show, kind of like it was back in 99, 2001. It's just the McMahon show, dude, and you would think that that's the main event. So
I'd rather be watching the Man Show right now than the McMahon show.
Dude, and can you imagine that show tried to come on television now in this day and
No!
age?
No, I can't.
It would not make it. Make it.
That's...
What about the McMahon show? Stephanie on trampolines.
Now that, my friend, I can see Vince putting that on the network.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately.
He just heard about the Man show.
Someone just told him about it.
Yeah.
It would be his favorite show, without a doubt. Without question.
Crap, pal.
Without question.
Stephanie on trampoline. The credits roll.
That's it. Oh, good times, man. Used to love watching that with my dad.
Oh, man.
Anyway, enough about my weird family. Tonight we're talking about Vince McMahon's weird family. Unfortunately, like Travis said, it is going to overshadow everything that we're talking about tonight because we are going to talk about an Undertaker match. That's what we do here. We're talking about The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar from No Mercy 2003, taking a big leap up from second on the card against A-Train to get to the main event against Brock Lesnar. But not only is it unfortunately overshadowed by the McMahon family drama, it's also something called a biker chain match, which I think is going to go down in the annals along with the Rest in Peace match and the Final Curtain match as yes. Stipulation matches that are just kind of WTF.
Yeah, it is, man. And, we had a Russo Broman of the Week last week, and we could almost pull another one out because of this match stipulation and how it's executed, and we'll get to that later on. But, yeah, it is it's a strange one. They say three's a magic number. That's my favorite Blind Melon song. Not No Rain, great. Not Soup, not Soul One. Those are all great songs, but three's a magic number is my favorite. And this would be their third singles outing. And I will say that I'm sorry, Shannon Hoon, but I think 2 was the magic number for Taker and Brock back then, not 3.
Well, I don't have a transition for that, man, to be honest. You caught me off guard with Blind Melon there. But let's just take a hard left turn before we talk about 2003. And we keep having to do this, man. We keep having to interrupt our retro journey here to talk about 2019 because out of the blue, or out of the black, out of the darkness, The Undertaker appeared on Monday Night Raw a few days ago. We're recording this on Tuesday night, and this will go up Friday, so a few days ago by now. And not only did he return, but we found out he's going to be fighting on another pay-per-view, and this time he doesn't have to travel outside the country to do so, man.
It's a domestic pay-per-view, so he gets... maybe in his contract, like he had to go overseas a couple of times. Who knows, man? But yeah, he gets to go at the old Extreme Rules pay-per-view. So, it was very out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't see one thing online earlier Monday. I didn't see, old Meltzer leaking it to anyone. I didn't see anything, dude. And I remember I'm watching it, live on my iPad and watched it and was just blown away. And I texted you. I was like, dude, Taker just came out on Raw. It was insane.
Yeah, I was sitting there not watching it, and then ended up on social media for the rest of the night, trying to keep up with everything. I've seen the clips, obviously, since then. Of course, we are talking about The Undertaker interrupting Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre, giving Shane McMahon not the best chokeslam I've ever seen, but a chokeslam nonetheless. And now, Undertaker was saving Roman Reigns, and we're getting it. This is just bonkers, off the wall. Undertaker and Roman Reigns teaming together against Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre in 2019. Someone on Twitter put it perfectly. This is like a WWE Universe mode gone off the rails, man. Like, where else would you have come up with this type of match?
Right. Exactly, man. But, dude, what I've been saying for, like, I don't know, half of our podcast about tag teams, I've been saying, do something like this. Put Taker with somebody. He gets to bump half the time.
Tag team specialist,
doesn't
brother.
have to go. Tag team specialist. Put him with somebody. Go half the time. I mentioned the other week about him and Brock, him and Cena. You know, it's just, this is perfect. I would love for them to just run through the tag teams, dude. Roman and Taker, dude.
Versus Hawkins and Ryder? Yeah, sign me up, dude.
Versus the Revival, the Usos.
Heavy Machinery.
Oh, jinx. I can't believe we jinxed on Heavy Machinery. I'm ashamed.
Well, I also think it's really cool for Drew McIntyre, man.
Yes.
Like, we've been saying, we mentioned it after the Goldberg debacle, that we'd love to see Taker, if he's going to have a few more matches, mix it up with some young guys. I know we mentioned Samoa Joe. I don't even think we mentioned Drew McIntyre, but I'm really high on Drew McIntyre. I was back in the day before he came back on this run, but I think it's awesome that even if it just is in there to get chokeslammed and tombstone and take the pin, it's cool for him to get the rub to be in there. I'm sure he never thought that would happen at this point in time. So I think that's really cool and kind of weird timing, Travis, because you actually, even before we were going to bring this up, you had something to mention about Drew McIntyre before we got started tonight.
Yeah, I did. I was going to talk about this on the podcast anyway, and then this happens. It's very strange. Taker came back out of nowhere. So I listened to a Drew McIntyre interview. I think it was on Sam Roberts' podcast a week or two ago, and he talked about his original time in WWE and how Taker pulled him aside and said, you know, because Sam Roberts asked him, what's the best advice you've ever gotten? He said, it was from Undertaker, and he pulled me aside. I was a young, idiot, thinking I was handed the world, and I was blowing it. And Taker pulled me aside and said, quit playing wrestler. And he said, I didn't know what that meant. He said, you're out there and you're playing wrestler. You're too big of a fan. Get out of your own mind. Quit playing wrestler and be a wrestler. And he said it clicked, he thought, but it didn't really click until he got fired and then went on the indies and then became Drew Galloway. And then you can see the guy he is now is not the same Drew McIntyre he was 10 years ago.
Right,
It's a different guy. He's Drew Galloway. He was in the indies. He said, but now... And he's gotten that seal of approval that he's back. Taker's talked to him and said, now you got it, boy. Like you're not playing wrestler anymore. So I thought that was really cool. And then the timing, it just worked out that like here he is, they're wrestling each other. So how cool is that, man?
That's perfect and just incredible advice, man. From the where else are you gonna get that? From the Undertaker, man, and so many guys. I know they don't listen to our podcast, but I hope they're hearing it from the man himself, from the Undertaker, and I hope they do take that to heart because that just, that sums up a lot of things. But anyway.
Maybe you'll tell Shane that. Shane is undefeated in singles competition on pay-per-view this year. I'm sorry. He's only one he's lost is a tag match, and he beat up Miz afterward, so it didn't even really matter. So, he's undefeated in singles competition on pay-per-view this year.
I hope he does win the WWE title. I know it's rumored online, and everyone's losing their crap. I hope he does, man. He's the best heel going right now. Way better than Baron Corbin. But that's not hard. That's not hard.
No.
Anyway, let's enough about 2019. We'll of course talk about that match one day as our match list keeps growing.
Keeps rolling.
Good Lord. But we're gonna roll back to August of 2003. Lost my place there. Forgot where we were. We're gonna take that time travel motorcycle back there, strap in, folks. We got a full tank of gas to travel back there. We got a bit of a longer episode here tonight as we've got some more matches to cover, more episodes of Smackdown. We got 2 months between pay-per-views, so we kept it short for A-Train last week, but we're going to have a bit more of an extended episode talking about Brock Lesnar tonight as we go to the night after SummerSlam, the Smackdown after SummerSlam, August 28th, 2003. Undertaker has just defeated the A-Train, but he got a run-in from Sable, and Stephanie McMahon continues to be involved in all of McMahon's business. And Travis, why don't you pick up from there?
Yeah, I will, man. So this is SmackDown 210, like you said, August 28th, 03. Lesnar comes out for a promo, and he's basically a big crybaby here. It's great, man. He's talking about how, first of all, he tells the crowd to shut up and sit down, which I wish he'd do that now. It's great.
Yeah.
Although I do love the new Brock Lesnar that does the Brock Party thing with he starts juking and jiving with his briefcase. He's fantastic.
He's a lot more similar to this Brock Lesnar.
To this one, yeah.
To
the one we're talking about here. So Lesnar says he's sick of people telling him he's tapped out. He says everywhere he goes, when he goes to the gym or he goes to the restaurant, people keep telling him you tapped out. And, of course, this cues the crowd to immediately chant this. So it's fantastic,
It's great. They do it the whole time. The whole time for this build, they're chanting "You tapped out" to him.
The whole time, and it's fantastic. But he's like, I'm sick of it, and he says this tap was a fluke, a mirage, or a miracle. He's not a quitter. It's the most embarrassing thing that happens to him his entire life. And so I don't know if he remembers. I guess he doesn't remember that Shooting Star Press from Mania. So
I don't think he does.
I don't think he wasn't there. But anyway, he demands a rematch with Angle and calls Angle out to the ring. And Kurt comes up on the Titantron and talks about how ridiculous this is and puts over, Brock being a good athlete and starts swearing like a sailor, man. And this is angry Angle, man. But anyway, he's responds to him, and before he can, do anything real big, Taker rides out. We hear his music, and he rides out on a red, white, and blue motorcycle, dude.
That's
It's just full Americana. It's got tassels on it, like the Ultimate Warrior's boots or something. It's just fantastic. Or maybe it's the Renegade.
It could be.
I love the Renegade in WCW. But...
Ooh, no.
I did.
No.
I did. I thought he was Ultimate Warrior. But anyway, I'm just kidding. But anyway... he comes out and gets in the ring, and Brock's not happy about this, but Taker says, he says something that is going to validate something I believe you mentioned a couple episodes ago. He just confirms what you suspected. He says,
I was sitting back there on my bike, I couldn't help it over here.
He just had to ride out.
He's just sitting in gorilla position on his bike, just got it revved up.
Got a big fat chew in.
And just
like watches the show.
Yeah, he watches at the monitor and he's like, that's ridiculous, gotta go out there.
He's like a traffic cop just waiting out there like watching everything go by, ready to turn the lights on and go after somebody.
Exactly. Well, he's a conscience, the WWE can make sure everything's okay. So
he is.
Yeah. Well, he comes out and he basically says that Brock's not getting another title. He says, you had your chance, you tapped out. And, of course, you tapped out. So crowd's into that. Taker says Brock needs to worry about where he's trespassing. He's in his yard. And then Brock is so angry, he goes and kicks the bottom rope like a little petulant child. I loved it, dude. He's just like a crybaby monster. It's fantastic. So Taker's like, I'll be glad to help you leave the yard. And then we get... Well, it's the big show. And he comes sauntering out and walks out there and says that he's inflicted more pain and suffering on Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, and Kurt Angle than anyone in the history of the WWE. So, which I don't know is true, but it definitely works for this era of SmackDown since 2002, the brand split probably. So,
sure.
He's beaten 2 of them for the world title. So
that is true. That's a good point.
Or 1 of them. 1? 2?
Well, just Brock.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We beat Brock, but he battled Kurt Angle.
Yes, yeah.
So, anyway, all right, so Angle's music hits, and he comes out with his newly won title, and he's like, I don't care who I face, I'd love to make Brock tap again, and says it would be an honor and a privilege to make The Undertaker tap out in his own yard, and Says Big Show has caused him more pain and suffering from his body odor alone. Which then Big Show, who's been supposed to be taken seriously since he came over to SmackDown. Remember, he took Taker out back in October. He's won the WWE title from Kurt Angle, or from Brock Lesnar. No, the first guy to pin Brock Lesnar clean. Well, now, he's done his tag team with A-Train and all this. Upon this moment where Angle says his body odor, Big Show just looks down on his armpit and, sniffs it and, does a big, cartoonish eye roll. Just completely disappears, all his, clout he's built up.
Exactly. It was so...
I don't know. Yeah.
What a goof.
Yeah. Yeah. And, well, then, after this, right on cue, to continue this really long segment.
Oh, never ending.
Yeah. Sultry Stephanie comes out and says she's going to settle this in a three-way match tonight. So, she's not on the trampoline, though. But,
that would have saved everything, man.
It's like Sin Cara. Was that Kalisto or Sin Cara?
That was Sin Cara. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, it's typical. We got a main event, triple threat for the number one contendership. Angle's on commentary. Brock and Big Show are kind of teaming up against Taker for a bit, which you imagine what happened. But I just thought to myself, how is this not pay-per-view, man?
Seriously. Yeah.
This is a big match, Yeah, it really is. So, anyway, we get... I'm sorry, let's see. Later on in the match, it kind of breaks down, and Brock goes to superplex Big Show, but, the commentary is remember what happened last time, which would have been the ring exploded, but Taker actually stands up and hits a huge last ride on Brock Lesnar out of the superplex position and pins Brock Lesnar to become a number one contender. So Brock Lesnar tapped out the night, or 2 nights before, or whatever, 5 nights before, and now he's getting pinned by Undertaker. So he's definitely on a losing streak here.
Keep that in mind, folks, as we get to the road to this pay-per-view. Taker goes over every single time. Just about. Brock Lesnar gets nothing in during this build, and I guess that's the beginning of it right there. But
that's,
pretty good match there, and nice to see Undertaker getting boosted over the A-Train and not having to deal with that anymore. Dude, didn't get any love from the A-Train on social media this week.
None.
We had people sticking up for IRS back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Not one person has stuck up for the A-Train.
No, rest my case. Our case is rested.
It's over. Done.
Case closed.
Settled. Decided.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next week, Undertaker's going to be getting his title shot, SmackDown 211, September 4th, 2003, and the presentation all night long for this match is excellent. They give it a very sports-like feel here with a couple of backstage promos from Undertaker and Angle, but they're just both sitting backstage, sitting by themselves, not talking to the camera, talking to somebody off screen, and it's each guy's promo is interspersed with other clips from their other matches, and they're talking about their history together. Undertaker puts Angle over as the best wrestler pound for pound in the world right now, and
he is a legitimate Olympic world champion. In my opinion, pound for pound, he probably is the greatest wrestler alive right now. And that WWE title that he wears says that he is. And I have to respect Kurt Angle for that. But the thing that I respect more is that WWE title. Kurt Angle, what you need to realize, even if you do remotely get a chance to put the ankle lock on me, I will let you break my ankle before I tap. Are you willing to do the same?
He's saying he's not going down tonight. He's not leaving without that championship. So, excellent work from Taker. Angle gives a very similar one, just talking about respect. We've got two baby faces here, and this is how you want to build up a good babyface match, in my opinion. Especially with these two guys. And
it felt very one time you see this nowadays would be in NXT. You don't see this on the main roster anymore. But this is perfect NXT build up stuff.
And they do a whole tail of the tape beforehand, which they used to do on SmackDown back in the day. And man, everybody go out of your way to watch this match. I think it was the best match they've ever had up to this point, and they've had some good ones.
Probably. Yeah.
I think all their matches have progressively gotten better, and this was my favorite. It's very, very long. It takes up a huge chunk of the episode, and the finishing sequence, well, almost finishing sequence, is I thought it was incredible, man. They're just trading submissions. It was like an MMA fight as they go back and forth. Ankle lock into an arm bar, into an ankle lock, into that triangle choke, and it's beautiful, man. It's so well done.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is. I think Angle slaps on a total of 5 ankle locks throughout the match, like at least attempts and stuff. It's very, very, like you said, MMA style submission stuff.
Yeah, if you are out there, well, you're probably not if you're listening to this podcast, but if you think the Undertaker is just the dead guy and doesn't know how to wrestle and just does this big man stuff, go watch this. It's obviously he's in there with Kurt Angle, one of the best of all time, but he's holding his own right in there with him. To me, I felt like this match could have fit right in 2019. Man, that's the biggest compliment I can give it. It would have fit on NXT or AEW, New Japan. I thought it was on that same level as some of those matches.
Oh, absolutely. I could see this on TakeOver or, New Japan match for sure, man. It would have been fantastic. Crowd would be so into this. So good.
Only problem was the finish, but it's obviously leading to something here, and it's on TV, so I'm cool with it. Brock Lesnar runs in before Undertaker can get the pin on Kurt Angle after a last ride and nails Undertaker with a chair to get the disqualification. And then Brock goes crazy. He hits Kurt some, smashes Undertaker's ankle with the chair, hits Angle with the WWE title. He's just putting all the attention on himself. He's the heel. He's the crybaby. He's the bad guy. And he wants to stand tall over these guys. He wants to win the title back from Kurt Angle, not from The Undertaker. So it all makes sense. It's all logical, and it's all leading to somewhere. So I'm okay with that, even though it cost us a clean finish. And during the break, we come back from the break, and we see Undertaker being humanized yet again. He collapses backstage from the brutal match and the brutal attack, but he's just refusing medical attention from the referees. And Michael Hayes, Dr. Hayes back there.
Michael P.S. Hayes, M.D.
But he's selling the injuries really well. Angle's selling the injuries, and we're obviously leading to a lot of different things coming out of that.
Yeah, we definitely are. And this is one of those things that the problem when you have 8 weeks in between shows is that it's a good thing. You get breathing room and time to tell stories, but you got to give some of these pay-per-view quality matches on the shows to make people still care, So it's a good problem to have. But as a fan, I was all over this stuff back then, I love when they take breaks between pay-per-views nowadays.
And there's going to be pay-per-view quality matches the next couple weeks, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. So, yeah, that brings it to Smackdown 212 on September 11th, 2003. So 2 years after the live, as well. I guess they had a live Smackdown after the 9/11 was supposed to be taped on. So, anyway, we don't have a Undertaker tonight as he's selling that beating from last week, a.k.a. only works twice a month.
Middle-aged ministry benefits, man.
That's right, baby. But this is the episode where we get Eddie Guerrero versus John Cena in that parking lot brawl.
Really cool.
With all really cool. Like, I remember it felt like a big deal back then, and even I went back and watched some of it this time too, and it was really just unique and neat and definitely a star-making. We keep saying that about Cena. He has these star-making, occurrences or opportunities, and this was another one with a guy like Eddie Guerrero to be able to hang and have this. It was excellent. But there is something else that I'm gonna let you talk about here because I actually skipped it in when I was reviewing it. But I want you to go ahead and talk about this because it actually does help us build toward the long end game here, which is Vince and Taker. So.
Well, there's just a quick mention of Undertaker because there's a backstage segment with Vince McMahon, Sable, Brock Lesnar, Stephanie McMahon, and the world's largest vice principal, The Big Show, in his full business suit.
Business
off the
regalia.
rack. Yeah. And I just brought it up because this version of Brock, like you talked about him earlier, he's quickly becoming my favorite Brock. you probably don't remember it, some of you guys out there, just thinking of Brock as the guy who dances around behind Paul Heyman, but this heel Lesnar, where he's kind of a crybaby and he's sarcastic and funny and cocky, but it's great. I forgot that Brock Lesnar could actually pull this stuff off, because we kind of think of him as not being able to do this stuff, but he's hilarious in this segment.
Yeah, I went back and watched it later. He is hilarious. And the reason we don't like it, and we don't think about it now, is because the one time he tried it since he came back 7 years ago, he blew it hard.
It flopped, yeah.
It flopped so hard. And they were like,
wouldn't let him do it anymore.
Get Heyman back.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But basically, Steph is just chewing out Vince McMahon and Brock backstage, making fun of Brock for tapping out, and Brock just gives off this hilarious laugh.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
I was saying, isn't Brock Lesnar the guy who tapped out to Kurt Angle?
Wrong. See, Brock Lesnar's the guy that's going to beat Kurt Angle next week in the Iron Man match, and that will declare me the new 3-time WWE champion.
So Brock gets all cocky, says he wants a tune-up match tonight against Kurt Angle, Undertaker, and Zach Gowen in a 3-on-1 handicap match. And then Vince and Big Show and Sable are all just like, oh my God, what? What are you saying? And Stephanie just like rolls her eyes at him and is like, none of those guys are here tonight. And Brock's like, okay, fine. He goes through his history with everyone in the room, talking about how he fought Vince McMahon, how he fought Big Show. And then he starts flirting with Sable backstage.
Ooh.
So maybe you can attribute Undertaker not being there to Brock Lesnar and Sable starting their relationship. Another thing we can credit the Undertaker for.
Not only can we will
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list of important professional wrestling events that Undertaker has been the catalyst for.
It's right up there, man.
Yeah.
Well, Brock, since he's had all this history with all these other people, he decides the only person left for him to have a match tonight against is Stephanie McMahon. Much like the A-Train fought Stephanie McMahon on last week's show. And Vince, of course, loves this idea and says, Stephanie, you have to fight Brock, and the only way out is if you decide to step down as SmackDown general manager.
There you go. And that's going to play into the rest of this build and pretty much take the cake from the main event scene there. So, but one more thing I want to mention about this episode of SmackDown, it was unique in that it was only 90 minutes here in the United States. We got a 90-minute episode. Those of you lucky enough to be outside the United States, you got to actually see the Brock versus Angle SummerSlam match in its entirety.
Wow.
They tacked it on there. Yeah, but here in the States, we got a 90-minute episode because the television channel it was on, UPN, had to debut a fantastic show in the same vein as Gary and Mike we've talked about in here, but this show was called The Mullets.
What a treat.
It was a treat. Actor you and I actually knew from the Joe Schmo show.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember his name. But, man, actually, you would think this would make a pretty good pairing to go along with wrestling. I would think. The Mullets? Come on.
I would have thought maybe about a decade earlier. About 93.
It was no Gary and Mike, I'll tell you that.
It wasn't. What you doing?
Well, anyway, as if we could top the Mullets, SmackDown's going to come back the next week in full 2-hour form on episode 213, September 18th. You got to take it one level above the Mullets, so we're going to get a huge, classic Iron Man match between Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle for the first time ever on free television. Man, absolutely classic. If you've never seen this one, you gotta go out of your way, take an hour of your time to go watch this one. I think it's the best match in SmackDown history. I think it's slept on a little bit. I just don't think people talk about it enough. I think it's a 5-star match.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this match, or maybe that 2 out of 3 falls. Who is it? The Guerreros or the Edge and Ray versus Benoit Angle?
Yeah,
either
I
one
put
of
this
those.
one above it.
I think this one's better though. But yeah, those are probably the 2 of the best SmackDown matches ever. But this is probably my favorite SmackDown match. I love this match. Oh man, it's so good. Go out of your way to watch it. We're not talking Brock or talking Angle, but we're talking Taker. But go back and watch this. Do yourselves a huge favor, and it'll take less than an hour because the commercial breaks.
That's true. That's true. Although on the one of Brock Lesnar's DVDs, it has the full match with the footage from the commercial breaks on there,
sweet.
so you see the whole hour. So if you have that, or if you have a way to find that, you can probably find it on a streaming site or something like that.
I'm sure
out there. But that's cool to see. You can actually see the entire match, and that was I watched that a few years ago. It was neat to see on there. But Undertaker, yet again, he is at SmackDown, but he takes the night off, sort of. We do see him briefly during a little cold open intro for the show as Vince is talking straight to the camera, putting over this huge Iron Man match tonight, and Big Evil interrupts the shot. He pops into screen, and he's so big and tall that camera has to pan up to see him out there. Nice little touch. But Vince McMahon is scared, obviously, but Taker promises Vince he's not going to interfere tonight because he has too much respect for the WWE Championship. But he does know that Vince sent Brock after him 2 weeks ago after that match with Angle.
And you know me well enough, Vince. I don't forgive. And I sure don't forget.
Important words to remember.
Yeah, that's like his new thing. He's going to start saying here.
Oh,
I don't forgive, and I sure don't forget.
He makes good on his word and does not interfere in that main event where Brock Lesnar ends up winning the WWE Championship. So that is an important thing to note on here. And I will also note that John Cena had another very disturbing freestyle promo on this episode, but he also had on some sweet Atlanta Braves throwback gear, which I popped for, man.
No doubt, man. He definitely had the style back then, except for his shoes.
He wears Brave stuff this week, and then he wears Atlanta Hawks stuff the next week, and I have no idea why. He was a big Atlanta fan for 2 weeks in a row.
Was it a team there the hometown team was feuding with maybe at the time or something? Well, there wouldn't have been basketball on September 20th.
Not in September. No, it wouldn't have been basketball.
And the Braves weren't in the playoffs at that point. I don't think.
They
in 03?
might have been in the playoffs at that point.
Maybe? Okay.
But, yeah, it was an odd choice, but I was a fan of them, man. They looked good.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Well, that takes us to SmackDown 214 on September 25th, 2003. We get Vince has got a celebration for Brock tonight, but Kurt Angle comes out and interrupts, and he's ready to kick Brock's butt, but John Cena interrupts, and he's got, like you said, the throwback Hawks jersey on, and later on, like I said, the main event segment is this Vince McMahon celebration for Brock Lesnar. So Vince and Sable, which is, as we mentioned, the future Mrs. Lesnar, come out.
So weird.
It is very strange. Come out there to present the WWF title to Brock, and Brock comes out, and Vince puts him over and congratulates him, and crowd immediately starts in with the "You Tapped Out" chant, which is just perfect heel heat. So it's great. So Brock thanks Vince for reminding him who the real Brock Lesnar is. And then he tells the crowd so deal with it. So I just love it.
His new catchphrase.
Yells at the crowd, yeah. Sit down, shut up, deal with it. It's great. Well, he's going to tell Angle that he had him in the palm of his hand for the Iron Man match, and he put himself over. So a little bit more here as he goes on and on and on and on. And then Taker rides out, and he's got a new, to me, I don't remember seeing it. It's a Worldwide Evil shirt. Got that creepy skeleton like Grim Reaper on it. I think this was the debut of that. So
he's got that merch money coming in, baby.
Yeah, man, cashing them merch checks and new stuff all over the place. So wonderful. Turco had that shirt, so I'm sure we'll see it on social media here soon.
I wouldn't be shocked, man. Dude, no. I was watching this episode with my wife Kate in the room, and so when Undertaker rides out, I believe this is a direct quote. She said, "This is the hottest I've ever seen Undertaker."
Oh my!
I said, "Excuse me."
She
said something about him on that bike.
Oh man, was he on the Clemson bike?
No. She has never indicated any sort of attraction to men on motorcycles before, but something about Big Evil on the bike, man, did it for her.
I haven't never known her to go after a biker.
Revved her engines though.
Yeah, the
words of Bruce Springsteen: "Strap your hands across my engines."
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm so lost now. I'm flabbergasted.
Sorry,
So,
I had to
that's
note
fine.
that.
It's fine. So, yeah, well, like I said, Taker comes out and he's on the mic and he's telling Vince, I told you I wouldn't interfere last week. I got too much respect for the title, but he then basically dares Brock to step to him and says, I don't respect you, and he gets nose to nose with Brock. And he says he's going to let it slide that Brock ruined his title shot the other week, but he says, just remember, I don't forget and I don't forgive. So, still bringing that catchphrase back from last week.
Getting that over.
Oh, yeah. And he says he has some advice for Brock Lesnar.
Now, I got a little bit of advice for you. You need to take that belt and enjoy it. Hang on to it real tight. Hell, if I was you, I might even sleep with it. Because your first title defense is against me. What? Whoa! Whoa!
He says, you got a date with a dead man. And Vince is like, Paul's like, what? By whose authority are you going to face Brock Lesnar? And then, of course, cue Stephanie McMahon.
I'm all grown up.
Is that what her song says?
Yeah.
I choose not to listen to it every time. So, yeah, she all grown up. Stephanie Princess comes out, and Taker actually tries to hold the ropes open for her, but she's got a skirt on. And she acknowledges him like nuts. You gotta go low, or gotta go lower. He pulls him up, and she goes down between the under the bottom rope.
Does she now?
Yeah. Well, she gets in the ring. She's like, on my authority, Dad, and tells us that at No Mercy, it's Brock versus Taker for the WWE title. And then Vince is like, I'm going to give you an opportunity to change your mind, and if you don't, you are also going to be in a match at No Mercy, the first ever father-daughter match in WWE history. Yep. And she says, well, I'm not changing my mind, so now we're going to have 2 matches made for No Mercy, and one being Taker versus Brock for the title, and one being Vince versus Stephanie in No Mercy in an I Quit match. So Vince calls her the B word, which was his word of the month, if you will, months ago. And but Taker goes to grab his hand as he goes to slap her or something, and then Brock attacks Taker, coming to Vince's aid, I guess. It's knight in shining armor.
Right.
And then Taker nails Brock Lesnar with a huge choke slam in the middle of the ring and poses with the title as the show goes off the air. So once again, the babyface stands tall over the heel again.
Keep track of that, folks.
Yeah, keep track of that. So it all connects together logically. It all makes sense. It's following the plot lines they've been doing, but I don't think anyone in the entire arena, throwbacks, Hawks jersey or not, I don't think anybody wanted to see this. But it does connect to the backstory, like of Vince and Taker and Stephanie from '99, and with the whole abduction, and like you said, it was his child bride and all that. It's like, I don't know that anybody else was thinking about that, but we've been going through it with, under a microscope.
It's kind of weird.
It's weird.
I mean, and you're right. Literally no one is dying to see Vince and Stephanie, besides Vince and Stephanie.
Oh, yeah.
They're the only ones who want to have this match. And let's get it straight here. Brock and Taker is going to be for the championship, and it will end up going on last at No Mercy, but it is not the main event of No Mercy, according to television and according to what takes the focus of all the build. Yeah. And it is going to literally tie into all of Undertaker and Brock's stuff and overshadow all of Undertaker and Brock's stuff, as we will see here. As we continue on, to SmackDown 215, October 2nd, 2003, and this is an important one because we see a little video package that WrestleMania WrestleMania 20 tickets go on sale this week, and they quickly sell out. And I'm sure you and I back then were watching that thinking, man, I wish we could go to that. I wish we could find a way to make that happen.
If only we could go to the Garden for WrestleMania 20.
Only 2 high school kids from Augusta, Georgia could figure out a way to make it there. Little foreshadowing, folks. We'll talk about that soon. Later on in the night, Vince and Sable come out for promo time. Stephanie comes out as well. And long back and forth in the ring between each other. Vince is going to give Stephanie another chance to take back her match that she made between Brock and Taker, giving her a chance to quit as the general manager of SmackDown. Stephanie says she won't do it now, not ever. And Vince says he's going to make her quit because it'll be an I quit match. And if she loses, she'll actually have to quit as the general manager. Blah, 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 blah. Soap opera stuff between the McMahons. It's the highlight of all this is Vince body slamming Stephanie in a beautiful father-daughter moment. You gotta love. I'm sure, Travis, you can't wait till the first time you body slam your newborn daughter. I'm sure you've been thinking about it.
I love you, honey. Boom! Yeah, body slam. Golly, who does this? Even on the TV show to their daughter.
So bizarre and disgusting and just terrible. But he's about to inflict even more damage, so the conscience of the WWE runs out to save Stephanie, knocks Vince down with one shot, which is I always appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
And, as he's about to chokeslam
Big right
Vince,
suit bone.
Yeah. Brock runs out, and he eats a big boot from the Undertaker. So Brock goes down. Undertaker ends up on top yet again. And Vince and Sable and Brock run away. I will say Taker got a huge reaction when he comes out, and like I said, I love seeing Taker beat up Vince. Never gets old, but this storyline sucks, brother.
Yes, it does. It does suck. Not quite as bad as something else, though, that's going on at the same time.
You mean Eddie Guerrero feeding Big Show laxative-laced burritos? And Big Show having diarrhea in the middle of his match and having to run to the back?
I do mean that.
Oh, okay.
That's precisely what I meant.
Oh,
you read my mind. Dude,
hashtag poor Big Show.
I remember at the time thinking how stupid that was. And yeah, it was. And it sucks to watch it over and over again. But like I said, Big Show's gone from the first guy ever to defeat Brock Lesnar to pooping in his pants in the ring within like less than a year, within 9 months.
He also got peed on by William Regal.
Yeah, but I mean, this iteration of this heel.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Big
We're
Show
supposed to take him seriously.
Was also the first guy to ever have his punt card pulled, I believe.
Yes, he was. He was.
Anyway, the main event of the night is a pretty cool main event. Kurt Angle and Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar and John Cena. You want to talk about Mount Rushmore of the Ruthless Aggression era right here.
Yeah.
That might be it right there.
That is it, yeah.
Everybody gets their full entrances, and it kind of takes forever to get started, and it's a long tag match, but it's cool. Everybody hits their greatest hits. A lot of good stuff in here from the tag team specialist, but he ends up losing. His team does anyway, as John Cena gets his steel chain, not a biker chain, but his steel chain to steal the win over Kurt Angle. Cheats to win right there. Brock's going to end up attacking Taker after the match. Goes up to give him the F5 after they brawl around on the outside. But Taker wiggles out, gives Brock another huge chokeslam. Pat Patterson style chokeslam, man. Brock goes up huge. I love it.
Dude, I cannot put over how much he gets into it. He gets high.
Elevates.
Whenever Taker like clotheslines him over the top rope, he flies out of the ring, man. He flies out. He goes up high. He bounces off of the mats for some of these chokeslams. He is awesome, man. I love it.
He sells huge for Taker. It's great.
Yeah.
But, once again, Taker absolutely dominating Brock as the last man standing every time they have any interaction here.
Yeah. And you know what? It's weird because in today's day and age of wrestling, this is a big thing we see. I've talked about it on here before. We see the babyface stand tall all the time. The heel gets heat, but then to send the crowd home happy, the babyface gets the shine right at the end of there. Gets a babyface ones are getting heat, which is backwards. But like it's more of like TV shows now or house shows. They don't really tell a story. But I didn't realize how much that was going on back then, man. I had no idea. But like it's seriously every time these two interact, Brock gets his heel heat, but then the show has to go off with Taker getting his receipt right back. It doesn't make sense.
No,
in the long run,
it's unusual for this period of time. That's why I noticed it so much.
Exactly.
Is because this never happens, and it's
No.
so obviously telegraphing the finish of the pay-per-view too.
Yeah, yeah, that's too. So, well, that'll take us to SmackDown 216 on October 9th, 2003. We get a video recap from last week of Vince slamming Stephanie that completely edits off any footage of Taker or Brock Lesnar or anything. None of their interaction is there at all. So once again, like you said, it is just the Vince and Stephanie show,
Yep.
the McMahon show, just being shoved down our throats. Why have they never thought of that? Well, we do get a return of the most electrifying woman in sports entertainment, Robo McMahon, Linda. She comes, and we get 20 minutes of Vince, Linda, Stephanie, and Sable. And I can't name one person in my life that possibly cared about this.
Seriously, do this at home, guys. Not on TV.
Now, the best part about this, though, is Linda's entrance music. Is the old WrestleMania song.
Absolutely.
It's so 80s. It's awesome. Yeah, so good. Well, Taker rides down to the ring, and we see a recap from the last 2 weeks where he has manhandled Brock, which I think Cole even says that. Chokeslam into the ring, or in the ring and through the table, and Taker's like, it looks like Vince is starting to get nervous here. He says, come no mercy. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take his boy. I'm going to break him down because he's so nervous. He's sending the FBI out here to soften me up. And we know this same old song and dance. It's not going to go well. He'll send the FBI out.
Vince didn't watch SmackDown earlier this year, apparently.
Or maybe he's supposed to send the actual Federal Bureau of Investigation.
He called the wrong number.
Yeah, he called the wrong FBI. It's like, yeah.
Dang it, pal. God dang it.
Yeah. Well, so the FBI is going to come out, but Taker says, you don't last long around here without a little help from your friends, and he invites the FBI to meet his best friend and pulls a biker chain out from under his shirt around his neck. So, and ladies and gentlemen, a biker chain is the same thing that John Cena wears, just longer.
Right.
It's just a longer chain.
Yep.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Well, we know because we saw Kane and Triple H have that match. Didn't they have a biker chain match?
Was it called a biker chain match? Or was it just a chain match? I honestly don't remember.
Remember, they had something.
They did.
Kane, I don't remember what it was,
yeah.
though. But
Taker
we weren't
had his
covering
chain, and he had the old equalizer, as he called it back then.
Yeah. And Kane, maybe they didn't have, I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't a biker chain match. This is the first ever we're going to get to here. But Taker takes on Chucky P in a rivalry renewed, man, from earlier in the year.
Yes.
Winds up winning with a choke slam. We won't go into it too much here, but immediately after, Brock just comes in like a bat out of Hades and just immediately clotheslines Taker, man. I have no idea where he was hiding, but he was in there immediately. And then he and his friends, the FBI, start just laying the boots to Taker. And then Brock goes to grab a chair, and then Taker grabs his biker chain and nails Stamboli, nails Nunzio, misses Palumbo, turns around, Brock swings the chair, and Taker just nails the chair with the biker chain. Just boom, just whips it right into him like he's, I don't know, Indiana Jones or something with his chain. And it is great, man. It's fantastic.
Who did you actually compare him to in your notes?
Huh?
Who did you actually compare him to in your notes?
My notes here said that Undertaker swings his chain like he's Keno from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. That was a fantastic scene, man, when Keno takes on the guys when the turtles come in there. He's got the nunchucks. So
that's definitely what they referenced here. Yeah, for sure.
In my mind, that's what I saw. I saw Keno. So anyway, Brock's a little shaken up, but once again, Taker's got the one up on him. He got the drop on him. So
on 4 guys at this point, 4 guys could not take Undertaker down.
He's Superman. It's out of control.
We obviously love Undertaker here on this show, but we got to call it when we see it, man. This is ridiculous.
You want to talk about Super Cena back in 2006, 7, 8, 9. This is Super Taker. Man. This guy's unbeatable, man. It's out of control. So, well, we're going to see another debut here. We've seen a couple debuts here. We talked about Smackdown, the Land of Opportunity. Some of them not so good, like Shaniqua and the Baldo brothers, or whatever they're called, the Bashams. Sock'em Basham, Rock'em Sock'em brothers, whatever they were.
One we're going to get to next week, too.
Also that. Dadgummit. Well, right here we get a good one. We get Paul London. He debuts, re-debuts, because we actually covered him in the WrestleMania 18 episode. I think he was an extra, wasn't he?
He was. He was the one who got Ric Flair arrested for punching him in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he makes his actual debut as himself here. and interrupts Vince McMahon talking to Sable and asks for an opportunity. And Vince is like, long story short, Vince is like, I'll give you a WWE title match to try out against Brock Lesnar tonight. So that's just crazy to get that on your first night.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And then later on, we see Taker walking out of Stephanie's office with his chain around his neck. Like he's, I don't know, like let your chain hang low. And he's cackling and, not cackling, he's laughing and smiling, kind of smirking on his face. So we know something's up. I mean, never mind, I won't go into it. Anyway.
You got a special McMahon show.
Some kind of favor is coming his way, maybe, if it hasn't already. So we get Brock versus poor Paul London. And before the match even starts, Brock clotheslines him, and it's almost like Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. Like, your soul is mine, and his soul just leaves his body.
He did three flips off this clothesline.
It's like the ancient one in Doctor Strange, where she hits him in the chest and his body goes out of there.
This is 100% what it was. Brock Lesnar is the ancient one.
Paul London's soul leaves his body, does 3 backflips, and comes back. It is out of control. So, Brock Lesnar is absolutely murdering this guy. I mean, in fact, Michael Cole calls it an execution. So,
oh yeah, it's like us playing with your old wrestling dummy.
It's exactly what it's like. Exactly like that. So he winds up getting the pin after an F5, and after that, he's trying to beat him up some more and trying to do that F5 to the ring post. But Spanky is going to come out and make the save, and here we get the dawning of a new tag team. That's going to be one of the longest running, if not the longest running tag team champions on SmackDown.
That's
I can't remember.
Weird.
Yeah, it is weird. So yeah, Spanky comes out for the save, and Brock just takes it to him as well. So takes it to him, and then Undertaker walks out, and he came out to Brock's music.
Well, Brock's music was playing, I guess, because he was leaving, and I mean, it just felt weird because normally when someone comes out, the music plays, but Undertaker just strolls out as Brock's music was playing.
Well, man, he's just jumping in line there. So he says he's sorry, he came out and spoiled the fun, and tells Brock that I got friends in high places. I don't think that's the song though. I think it's Friends in Low Places. If I'm not sure.
It's the B-side.
Yeah, B-side. So he says he just left Stephanie's office and he's got some changes for No Mercy, and it's still me and you for the title, but now it's a biker chain match.
But now, the championship match is a biker chain match. Chain match? What the hell is a biker chain match? I don't know. I never heard of a biker chain match.
The crowd goes mild.
Yeah. It's a biker chain match. Wait. This thing on?
No one knows what that means.
No, in fact, Michael Cole and Taz are like, oh, all right. It's a biker chain match.
Biker chain match? What?
Yeah. Clean that up in post-production and edited that out, but they have no idea. Whatever that means, so.
Should have been a typewriter match, Cole.
A walk.
A walk match.
Walk on a pole.
Waka, waka, waka.
We got no explanation, but I cannot wait till we get the explanation.
Oh, we cannot wait. Well, we're finally at the go-home show for No Mercy, Smackdown October 16th, 2003, episode 217. We'll learn about this biker chain match here in a minute. But first we find out at the beginning of the show that Mr. McMahon's favorite juggy, Stephanie, has been banned from SmackDown tonight by his own hand.
I forgot they were called Juggies.
The Juggies.
I never watched that show.
I think I've seen every episode. But she's not going to be here, even though it's her final night as the general manager. And, it's the talk of the show between everybody backstage. That we even see Jamie Noble and backstage at catering with Nydia, talking about how he actually hopes that Stephanie beats Vince on Sunday because he prefers her as the general manager. And then our old buddy Tajiri overhears that, and he goes and stooges to Mr. McMahon, telling him what Jamie Noble said. And
English, please.
He did. He spoke English. And Mr. McMahon makes a match between Noble and Tajiri because of this. It all leads to Tajiri misting Nydia in the face, blinding her, which becomes a big storyline. And Noble's so upset, he comes storming back out after the match and saying he wants to fight Tajiri again, and he runs back up the aisle. And the whole reason I'm telling you this is because he gets run over by Brock Lesnar on the way out, who beats down Noble, punishes him, and that brings out Vince and Sable because Brock is Vince's BOY boy. And yeah, it's a whole thing with them. Just, once again, making Brock look strong, because I guess he can't look strong over Undertaker at any point during this.
Has to be a Ring of Honor guys, basically. Crew 205 Live guys.
That's right. Well, one guy I wish he would have beaten up is the guy who's about to show up backstage.
Who's going to have future with The Undertaker. That's why we had to mention this here. Oh, my word. I forgot this guy debuted the same year as Nathan Jones.
It's a rough year, man. And Orlando Jordan.
Oh, dadgummit.
On the one hand, you got Orton and Cena and well, they were last year. Never mind. Brian Kendrick. Yeah. Paul London. These guys. And Heidenreich. He walks up into the parking lot backstage where Matt Hardy and Shannon Moore are talking, and he's got a tape he wants Matt to pass along to the higher-ups so that he can get a job, so he can provide for him and little Johnny. He keeps talking about whatever that's talking about. Not Johnny Ace, I don't think, but...
Hey.
But Matt promises, he says, it's kind of a weird time right now because we don't know who the general manager is going to be, but I'll do what I can and I'll pass your tape along. And Heidenreich thanks him and walks away, and Matt does the absolute right thing here. He tosses Heidenreich's tape straight into the garbage.
I've never been a bigger fan of Matt Hardy than I was right here.
Put him in the Hall of Fame for that right there.
Oh, yeah. He's doing these videos on social media right now and in real life about you don't know how hard it is to be Matt Hardy, and this is one he could talk about. He could say, you don't know how hard it is.
I had to deal with Heidenreich.
To deal with this on this first night.
Well, another thing that happens on the Smackdown that I want to point out that doesn't have to do with Lesnar and Taker, but it kind of... You okay?
Yes. What you're about to talk about. I'm sick.
You're sick?
Yeah.
Big Show and Eddie Guerrero, their feud continuing on. They have this... Big Show's been looked like a goof this whole time.
Right.
But he finally ends up getting some comeuppance on Eddie Guerrero on this night. He has a very, very long beatdown of Eddie. He destroys Eddie's lowrider. He throws Eddie into the lowrider. He breaks the windows. He gets Eddie all bloody on his back from throwing him into the glass. And it's a very intense, strong segment. It makes up for all the literal crap that Big Show's been through.
Yeah, the week before he got poop put on him. That's what I thought we were hitting at here. I forgot. Yeah.
No, that was the week before.
We've already been through the crap. Yeah.
But that happens on this episode of SmackDown, like 20 minutes before what we're going to get to, and I just want to point that out because I think it plays into what we're about to get to here.
Yeah,
so keep that in mind.
Right.
Speaking of crap, Undertaker's going to give a backstage promo, getting interviewed by the investigative journalist Michael Cole, who's trying to figure out what the heck a biker chain is. All right, folks, buckle in. Taker's sarcastically saying, "Oh yeah, it's real complicated, Cole. There are no rules in a biker chain match." And then he goes on to explain the rules of the biker chain match, for which there are no rules.
We're not going to be linked together, and we're not going to enter the ring with a chain of peace. It's plain and simple. It's the oldest form of combat. Two guys start fighting. When one guy's got the other guy down and can get to the chain that somehow will be suspended above the ring, he gets to use that chain. And he can use it any way he likes. So it's simple. Beat your opponent down, get the chain, and beat his skull in.
Just like the cavemen used to do. The oldest form of fighting there is.
That's what I wrote my notes from. Fair enough. That is the oldest form of combat.
What the heck is he talking about?
I don't know, man, but how is that the oldest form of combat? And dude, when he says he's like, get the chain. That'll somehow be suspended above the ring. It's like it just dawned on him that
he doesn't know how.
I have no idea how.
Is it going to be like a ladder match? Is it going to be on a pole?
Yeah.
What?
Well, because a lot of these backstage segments are pre-taped before the show, but this one is live because of what's about to happen. So they probably should pre-tape this and run through it a few, because normally we've been putting over his promo skills really good, but this one was one of those, could have used a little, I don't know, editing beforehand, or just giving him some, instead of a bullet point, give him the actual script, I guess. I don't know, man. This reminded me of that one back in like '99, and he was pacing around the ring, and the one where Jericho debuted and called him boring.
Yeah.
Remember that one before? It reminded me of that one where he was just like kind of lost and didn't know what to say. It was, dude, this is the oldest form of combat.
The oldest form of combat. Grabbing a chain that's been suspended high in the air.
Above a ring.
Beating your opponent with it. Nothing older than that. I believe that's in the Book of Genesis. I think it's form of a biker chain match.
Wrestling is,
Wrestling is in the Bible. Yes, the oldest sport, man.
It's the oldest sport. Well, in fact, maybe this is the oldest sport of combat. We stand corrected, Taker. Apologize.
You had it right there. Well, then, after that stupidity, unfortunately, Taker, he undermines this match even more. Because he says, the chain itself isn't really dangerous. It's the person swinging the chain that makes it dangerous. And this part of the match, it's all about my entertainment. I don't really need the chain in there. And it's just like, I get what he's trying to say. I get he's trying to say, like, guns don't kill people, like, I kill people. Like, he's trying to say, be scared of me or whatever. But it's like, okay, why are we even doing a biker chain? Like, why do we even care if you're more dangerous than the biker chain? Man, it's like, that's kind of wrestling 101. Man, it's a rare slip up from Taker, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
not good.
No, not at all.
Well, Taz is confused as they're talking about this, because he's like, well, it seems like the person who would get the chain would win the match. And Taker's like, well, like I said, it's not really about the chain. Like, what is happening?
Like I said, they should have done this in pre-tape, man. This is so bad.
Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't just do like a chain match where they're tied to each other. Like, that's what, like he said, that's what everyone thought it was going to be, and that would have been fine. Like, I got no problem with a chain match or a strap match. That would have worked out better than what we're going to get, too. But anyway, Cole ends up having to ask Taker about the true main event of No Mercy. Ask him what he thinks is going to happen with Stephanie and Vince McMahon, and Taker kind of rambles and says, I'm hoping for Steph to win, but I feel like it's going to be a tough road ahead for her. And he's rambling, waiting for what's about to happen, which is Brock running in from out of nowhere. He's got his own biker chain, and he starts beating up Taker with it, wraps the chain around Taker's neck, and drags him out to the ring. As we go to commercial and come back with these two guys fighting in the aisleway for the final go-home segment going into the pay-per-view, and they have another very, very, very long brawl out around the ring with this chain, and it's mainly Brock getting the upper hand on Taker.
Yeah, Brock's kind of finally getting, like you said, the upper hand here. He's doing lots of choking, and again, stuff you can't see nowadays. They can't choke anybody.
Oh, yeah, no, nothing like
Brock's
this.
beating him, throwing him into the set. When Taker does fight back, the crowd pops, but choking him against the barricade and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy, man. Crazy, like, stuff that you wouldn't see nowadays.
Lesnar ends up hanging Taker with the chain over the pole, and it seems like Taker's working they're working stiff here, because Undertaker, he literally turns blue. Like, you see his face start to turn bluish purple from choking as he's trying to fight out and escape. It's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if he was just like doing it well and holding his breath, or what he's doing, or if he's literally choking. I don't know, but it was kudos to both of them for making me feel like it was legit. That's what we're supposed to feel.
They brought the realism here.
Yeah,
but the crowd is really quiet for this, man. And I think it goes back to the Big Show Eddie Guerrero beatdown, which happened just a little bit before this, which was also a heel delivering a massive beatdown, and honestly, kind of a better beatdown because it's more intense with the car and the blood and stuff. Like, I think they undercut themselves by basically having the same segment back to back here.
Yep, absolutely, man. I don't know why it was written that way, but I don't know.
Well, it's not over. Brock does not get the upper hand like Big Show did, because even though he takes his shirt off to show he really means business, Taker gets up and fights out of an F5 and gets another huge chokeslam on Brock. And for just the umpteenth time, man, ends up standing tall over Lesnar, man, as we go home to the show. Not 1 week has Brock gotten the upper hand on Taker at the end of the show. So if you thought Undertaker had any chance going to this pay-per-view, I got some bad news for you.
Yeah. This is your first night watching, man. Yeah, it is. It's crazy, man. And, like, this whole scene was a spectacle, but...
It was.
It's, I could have used some more selling from Taker here. I mean, aside from the turning blue, like, just because even when he would get choked like that, and he'd just start kicking, punching out, like, I don't know. Again, I'm trying to be fair here, and we're obviously Taker apologists, but judging this for face value, it's like, this dude is Superman. Like, you cannot put him down. Nothing. For 8 weeks straight, Brock gets nothing. Like, he can't stand tall at all, and it's not a way to build it. To this match, in my opinion. This is the worst build to their encounters that I've seen. Well, I don't know, because we did have.
What's wrong?
Maybe I'll take that back. Maybe the build is. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, because we had the Sarah and the whatever Tracy.
And Tracy.
Oh, that's true.
You're right. I don't know. Maybe this isn't the worst build.
50-50 right there. Who knows, man? But yeah, that'll take us to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it does. And again, we have no idea what the rules are for this match. Nobody knows. But yeah, that'll take us to No Mercy 2003. This is on October 19th, 03, from the First Mariner Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, typically a WCW town. A lot of Great American Bashes were held up there. So, and you know what? I could tell, because this crowd wasn't as high as I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff. So
not so much.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched this show live. I mean, I didn't watch it live, but I do remember renting it when it came out on DVD, because I was interested in this, seeing these two guys go at it again, and then I remember being interested in not the Vince one, but
Cena and Angle, maybe.
That match, and then whatever Benoit was doing.
No, you weren't. He was facing A-Train.
It was Cena and Angle. You're right. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, I'd never seen this match or this show at all until we watched it for this. I'm pretty sure I'd seen the Vince and Stephanie match at some point. Unfortunately, I suffered through that for some reason. But yeah, had not ever seen this match, so I was definitely intrigued, because obviously these guys had two of our favorite matches of this run last year in a row. So I was excited to see them go at it again. Yeah,
me too. And if you were unsure as to what the main event is, you open up this show, the video package, where the entire focus, if this is a 5-minute video, let's say it is, 4 minutes and 20 seconds are Vince and Stephanie. I mean, I don't know that it's 5 minutes. I'm just saying that's the amount. It's all Vince and Stephanie, pictures from their childhood, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then the last, let's say 40 seconds is, oh, yeah, by the way, we have Taker and Brock in a biker chain match thrown at the end, man. But perhaps the highlight of this entire pay-per-view, to me, we get a tail of the tape earlier in the night between Brock and Taker. You can kind of tell they're kind of filling time, because here's the hard part when you have a 2-hour weekly show. Then you got to build to a 3-hour pay-per-view. You're using the same talent every week. It's like, well, now we got to stretch out everything for an extra hour on a pay-per-view. So anyway, but my favorite part of this whole entire show is we get a graphic with the Undertaker's keys to victory in the biker chain match. Okay. We got 3. Number 1, throwing hands.
Absolutely.
Throwing with an apostrophe. Not throwing, throwing hands.
Oh, that's very different.
Yeah, throwing hands.
A lot more loose. You got to be looser when you're throwing hands. Yeah.
Key number 2 to victory. Veteran instincts.
Okay.
Yes. So, and in key number 3, get the chain.
Absolutely.
So, there you go.
That's a good game plan, in my opinion.
You get to hear Cole and Taz overanalyze those for a few minutes so that they can kill time. And then, later on, we get Brock Lesnar's keys to victory in the biker chain match. Number 1, grappler game.
Which game is that?
The grappler game.
Is that on PS2 or Xbox? Or...
I think it was PS2 at this time. Yeah, the grappler game. Yeah, I don't know Yeah, grappler game. He's going to use his grappler game, I guess. Number 2, controlled anger. Okay, correct. Why would you want controlled anger? Wouldn't you want uncontrolled anger so that you're just out there like an uncaged animal? I don't know.
That was like the name of this era that didn't catch on. It was like Vince's like storyboarding ruthless aggression, controlled anger. The controlled anger era. Doesn't work.
And then key number 3 is also get the chain. So, yeah. I don't know if any of you have kids or listening, or you ever seen the TV show Special Agent Oso, but they say, like, here's 3 steps to make a cake. It's like, put the mix in the bowl, stir it, bake the cake. And that's literally, like, how simple the things are. It's like, how to drink through a straw. Put the straw in the cup, drink through a straw. Like, it's stupid like that. That's what I felt like watching this, was like, this is the worst 3 steps of anything I've ever heard in my life. It's so bad. So, speaking
of 3, I think you've made the 3 most very hyper-specific references you've ever made on this podcast, with that, Kino from Ninja Turtles 2, and some off-the-rails Blind Melon songs I've never heard of. Like, there's like one person listening to this that's going to know each of those references, and I applaud you for it.
That wasn't my goal.
That was great. I love it.
Anyway. Ugh. You know what I didn't love is...
Yeah, the true main event of the night. Vince and Stephanie. We won't spend too much time talking about it, but just to fill you in, because it is important, Stephanie loses to Vince McMahon in the first ever father-daughter match when Linda throws in the towel after Vince is choking Stephanie out with a pipe. These are real family, ladies and gentlemen. This really happened. And one of these people is in the White House right now. So, Stephanie...
At least she threw in the towel.
Yeah, that is true. She can pat herself on the back for that. But Stephanie loses, and so she is out as general manager. Vince is continuing this evil slide into authoritarian power that the conscience of the WWE is not going to be too happy with, and that's all going to play into what we get to next week in our grand finale of this era. So, unfortunately, it's a very important thing that we have to talk about, but much more important is our main event for this week, the Biker Chain match, main event of this pay-per-view. And we got Cole and Taz on commentary. We got a great video package as usual, starting things off. And we've got some weird, terrible Limp Bizkit knockoff band, which is about as low as it gets right there with the background music.
If you get a terrible Limp Bizkit knockoff, you know you're dragging the bottom, scraping the bottom of the barrel. So, yeah. Tony Chimmel welcomes us after the video, though, and he gives us what I would like to say is our Broman of the week, He gives us the rules here. He says that the first competitor to get the chain can use it on his opponent, and then we see the chain suspended on a pole in one corner of the ring. This is like the biggest pole of all poles. It's like 14 feet tall, and the chain is like, it looks like it's like a string hanging there. It's so small.
Yeah.
Like, look at this pole is so tall.
It's enormous.
It's so big. And again, ladies and gentlemen, Vince Russo is in Nashville writing for Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. But everyone wants to put him as the pole guy on the pole match, on a pole.
No. Not tonight.
Yeah, not tonight.
I'm excited, though. This is our first on a pole match we're getting to cover here. So knock that one off the bingo list right there, or the checklist of things we get to cover. Taker is riding out first because he is the number 1 contender, not the champion. And Brock comes out second. The announcers are putting over the brutality of this chain match, where we'll see how brutal it gets here. But yes, once again, folks, the rules are the first competitor to get the chain can use it on his opponent. It has nothing to do with winning the match.
Nope.
Keep that in mind. There's nothing connected with the chain and actually winning the match.
And shouldn't there be some kind of rule where, like, the first opponent to get the chain is the only one that can use it on the opponent?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's like, what if you and I are wrestling? I'll just let you get it. I can still use it on you.
Yeah.
there's no rush to get to it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's just fair game once it falls down off the pole, like, who cares? You know, like, who cares who gets it first? There's no drama in that.
The first person to get it can use it, and so can the other person.
Exactly. So where's the drama in that? It's just, oh man.
We're about to see. We're about to talk about it here.
We are. Yeah, match starts, and Taker tries to go right after Brock in the corner, and Brock keeps kind of like bobbing and weaving and getting out of that, and eventually he gets the upper hand, though, and they start throwing hands here, and Taker's firing back, and Cole says, that Taker told him earlier today that he's in better physical and mental shape than he was last year when he and Brock Lesnar met. So I do appreciate the attention to history and their past there. So that was a nice little touch.
I like that too, because they also put over Lesnar is also a year older and wiser from the last time they faced, so he's even scarier than they were in the Hell in a Cell. So nice to see them play into that history. It's a very typical opening to a match here with Taker. They take their time, kind of. Well, actually, I will say that it feels like they're taking their time a little bit because they've got a lot more time here than maybe they have in the past. So they're kind of feeling each other out, doing stuff in the corner. Taker's kind of slowly working over the left shoulder and the arm of Brock and starts to go for old school, but Brock pulls him down quickly off that. Taker recovers, hits the old Hogan special, boot and leg drop. And here's my first problem with this match, Travis. Immediately goes for a cover and gets the 2 count. So we know Taker does that all the time, and we normally praise it and love it that he does that and tries to make these matches feel real, but why would he want to try to end this match 2 minutes into it before he even used the chain?
Right. The whole point was that he got the biker chain match so that he could beat up Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
And pulverize him. And so, here he's going for a 2 count. It's probably just muscle memory.
It
he
is.
Just forgot, you know what I'm saying?
Because he did it in the first Hell in a Cell against Shawn Michaels, and I remember talking about it. Like, why you've been trying to get Shawn Michaels where you can beat him up for months. Why are you trying to pin him 2 minutes into the match? Like, I don't get that. And another thing, why it doesn't work because the crowd can't get into a near fall like that because they know this match isn't ending until someone gets that chain. So
exactly.
It's just, and it's going to keep happening, unfortunately, and it's going to really, in my opinion, ruin the match.
Crowd's not going off the chain until the pole gets off the chain.
Amen.
So, speaking of off the chain, the Undertaker hits a magistral cradle or cradle, however you want to say that. He has been doing watching some Japanese tapes or some Lucha Libre or something. Yeah,
innovator of offense.
Taking a page out of Canyon's book here. Yeah, rocking Brock Lesnar in a magistral cradle, trying to roll him up again. And Cole talks about how when Taker was younger, he was all about power, the power game, but now he's mixing it up and working a new style. So again, I do appreciate, as much as we're crapping on kind of on stuff here, I don't mean to crap on stuff. I do appreciate the little nuances and the attention to details and the changes in Taker's style that they are hitting on. So back to the match though, we get an apron elbow by Taker, and then Brock hits some knees and starts banging Taker's head into the apron because it's the hardest part of the ring, so it's going to hurt the worst.
For sure.
Yeah.
Also, we should point out too, Taker's got this giant arm brace on his left arm.
Yeah.
He's had it on a couple times before this during the build-up, but we haven't really mentioned it on here. But obviously nursing some sort of injury in real life at this point, which is going to lead to him being absent for a little while here soon. But they're fighting on the outside, and Taker, he's using that strategy. He's using his keys to victory here. Checks off the first box on there, starts throwing hands with Brock Lesnar. Hits his running diving clothesline that we love, and gets another 2 count as commentary tells us in the first place that the match can end in pinfall or submission at any time, and you don't ever actually have to use the chain at any point in there. So, what are we here for? Why are we doing this? What is the point?
Yeah. What's the point? And then you're ruining all the drama there. It doesn't make any sense. So, did you already mention that Brock does a perfect plex?
They called it a perfect plex.
He
but
grabs the leg, man. He does the fisherman. He doesn't do the
he doesn't
bridging
go for the
pin.
pin.
No.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't do the bridging pin. He does a fisherman suplex, I guess we'll call it. So, yeah. Brock did a fisherman suplex, which is, I don't remember him doing that
That's
often.
true.
So,
yeah,
I did like that. So, yeah, you're right. It wasn't really a perfect plex because he doesn't bridge. But anyway, it was neat to see something different there. But Taker getting a hope spot and crotches himself on the top rope, and Brock's ducking, because Brock ducks a boot to the corner, but then Taker kind of weasels him in and gets an apron stunner on Brock. But then Brock's going to knock him off the apron, and like you already mentioned, this is where the commentary is like, you don't have to get that chain, actually, because we kind of hear it rattling over there on the pole and stuff as the ring is shaking, and it's just so dumb. it's just a wrestling match. Then there just happens to be a chain hanging there if you want to use it. So it's just stupid.
Yeah, it's like they felt like they had to have an extra stipulation on there and tagged it on at the last minute without really having it work into the match or having
last man standing or something would have been great.
Or just like we said, a chain match where they're actually tied to each other here. So then Taker makes the first move towards the chain, and that kind of wakes the crowd up. They're starting to see, okay, we know we're going to see some action here. He heads up to the top to try to climb up this giant pole, and then the lights go out mysteriously. They go out for a few seconds, and when they come back on, Sabu is in the... Oh, never mind. That would have been awesome, actually.
Sabu pointing the sky.
Taker has mysteriously dropped down to the mat. He goes to climb up again, but Brock's able to stop him at this point. So I guess we're supposed to assume that that's Mr. McMahon turning the lights out to try and screw with Undertaker here.
All right. It's that, or they didn't get that generator like they didn't have back at that Beware Dog pay-per-view.
Yeah. There's only two explanations.
Exactly. Well, Brock hits a power slam for 2 and then rolls out and throws the ring steps in the ring, and then Taker starts headbutting him. And Taker, I do appreciate this, though. When Taker's headbutting Brock, Taker's selling the headbutts as well. He's kind of shaking it off, and like it hurts him too. So, again, I never thought I would say, look at Taker to see how you sell, but you do. And he clotheslines Brock over the top rope, like I was mentioning earlier. How Brock just flies over the top rope and lands. He just has no regard for his body. He lands like on his neck, and and the crowd pops for that, man. They finally pop for a move in the match. So. And then Taker's going to do something that's completely out of left field here.
He just, out of nowhere, takes Brock Lesnar over to the steps on the outside, flips him up, and hits a goddamn pile driver onto the steps. And
not a tombstone.
No, just a straight-up Lawler pile driver. And the crowd starts chanting, "Holy bleep." And I start on my couch chanting, "Holy bleep," because that was... friggin' out of nowhere, and
awesome.
I'm not sure who it hurt more. The announcers say it, but it looked ugly for Taker too. He landed real awkward off that, and I don't know where it came from.
I have no idea, man. He just made that up.
Brutal.
It looked rough, man, but it was gross. But then Taker's going to head up for the chain again, and Lesnar's going to stop him and get under his shoulders, and Taker's going to somehow, he's riding piggyback on him kind of, and Taker's going to turn this into a reverse triangle hold over the top rope. But if there are there rope breaks? Well, yeah, there are rope breaks.
It says there are submissions,
Yeah, so, but he kind of lets go just seconds later. I guess it's because it's a rope break. So, anyway, but Brock's got an answer for that, so.
He does, damn. The old trusted Death Valley blow works every time, and Lesnar, he gets the steps into the ring. He tosses them in there and runs Taker over with the steps. He goes for a cover, and Taker kicks out, and Brock does our favorite thing, normally, which is he goes for another cover, but Taker kicks out again. But again, in this match, it's so silly that we're doing all these pinfalls without the chain even coming into play in the match. It's just taking you out of it because despite what they say, nothing's going to happen until the chain gets involved in the match. So it's just, it never quite clicks. What? It never quite clicks into gear here.
Yeah, you're going click.
I can't click into gear. God dang.
We get more more fisticuffs from these two guys, and then Brock's going to go up for the chain, and Taker grabs him from underneath in the last ride position, but Brock drops over his head, and then we get the big double down spot, and then they actually both get up at the count of 8, and you'd think the crowd will be chanting, with the referee, but they're really not, because, again, the match isn't going to end like that. They know not to expect the ending here, so they start trading punches in the middle, and then Taker wakes up and gets a snake eyes, a big boot, and he does the old pose for the choke slam, and I just wrote my notes at this point, the crowd's not into this,
Nope.
even for a choke slam coming.
It's very, very quiet here. Taker, he hits hitting his moves of doom here as he whips Brock into the corner, hits some running clotheslines, hits the snake eyes, hits the big boot, all that good stuff. Brock goes, look, he gets out of the choke slam, hits the spine buster on Taker, and goes for a cover, but Undertaker slips it into the triangle hold to no reaction from the crowd.
Yeah, I just wrote, I guess the crowd's in triangle hold too, because they must be asleep. Because
Nothing.
that move hadn't gotten over yet as far as it being a finisher yet. We kind of saw it out of nowhere, and he's done it a few times since then in matches, but they didn't care here.
It's just, it's kind of an awkward transition, and it's, like you said, it's just not over yet. I guess it's kind of hard to see too that he's actually twisting it into a submission, and he'll get a lot better at that when he turns it into the Hell's Gate and gets a lot more over. And it's also, I think too, this is 2003. I mean, the UFC and MMA are not as over as they become later on, so a lot of people still don't understand that move yet. But
right.
Anyway, he holds it on there for a while, but Lesnar, really cool. He just basically lifts Taker up and power bombs out of it, like Matt Hughes used to do in the UFC, and scoops Taker up. But Taker ends up turning that into the old TCB. We get into a series of reversals here. Brock reverses out of that and gets Taker up for the F5 and actually connects with that one. Goes for the pin, but Taker gets his foot on the bottom rope to stay alive.
He does, man. And I just noted, man, when that happens and Taker, I guess, he's not covered, there were some boos from the crowd at that point, man. It was,
That's
I
a heel
don't know
move.
if they were, I don't know if they're booing that Taker didn't win, or if they're just like, this match sucks, boo. Like,
Maybe
it's not
some
over
of that.
yet, boo. So who knows? But Brock's going to go for the chain here, and Taker's going to stop him with a choke slam off the top rope. It's sick, man. And Brock just bounces off the canvas, man, like he's Spanky or something. It's crazy. But then, rather than pin him, like he has been the entire match, going for pins, Taker's going to finally climb up and go for the chain, and the crowd's waking up now. They know this got to be the end coming. The end is near. But then, our favorite Bureau of Investigation is going to run out to investigate this match, and the FBI come in.
Oh, the pizza's here. The deliveries come. Italians are out. And as usual, Taker makes short work of these guys. Tosses them like pizza dough out of the ring. Doesn't give them a tip. Sends them out of here. And it's just so out of nowhere. The only main event these guys have ever been in, I believe. But Brock goes for the F5 again off the distraction, and Taker counters. He hits the last ride on Lesnar and makes another mistake. 2 in a row here after going for pins this whole time. He just kind of waits around for a while, and then instead of pinning Lesnar or going for the chain even, he just runs and hits the old flying cow splash onto the FBI. And it looked awesome, and the crowd popped, but it's really friggin' dumb in the context of this match. It just, Undertaker straight up looks like an idiot. I'm sorry, man, he does.
He does. It doesn't look, psychology-wise, doesn't make any sense, He's already manhandled these dudes. He doesn't need to fly over there. It was simply just to, let's wake the crowd up. Let's get my crap in here. And, he doesn't sell this match, or doesn't sell this move, really, even. He does it like he's Seth Rollins and then just pops right back up. And, he goes over to in the ring, and Nunzio is climbing the pole to get the chain, who I guess this match is sometimes it's no DQ, sometimes I don't know what the deal is, but Nunzio's going to grab it, and Taker knocks him off flat on his back all the way down to the outside, and then Taker grabs the chain. Match over.
Oh, wait. No.
Wait.
Not quite. Because we haven't seen Mr. McMahon yet.
Yeah.
As he pops up out of nowhere, I guess he was hiding under the ring or came up out of the crowd, I don't know. But he pushes Taker crotch first onto the top rope as the overbooking of this continues. And the man who grabbed the chain does not get to use it. Brock has the chain now, wraps it around his fist, nails the Undertaker with it, and pins him and retains the title as Vince runs away. That's it. That's all, folks. That's how it ends after 24 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah, we see a replay, and it shows Vince coming out from under the ring there.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, Michael Cole tells us that Brock and Vince have shown no mercy to anyone tonight, because we got to get that pun in there. But
of course.
Vince, I wish they would have shown us some mercy and just not done this match or not had Vince involved. But it's going to play into the long game, like we've been saying, and wrap up this Biker Taker era. But you know what? One thing I will say, I'm going to look at the positive here. We tried to do that. I do appreciate that Taker got pinned after one punch with the chain. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, it wasn't like punch, F5 on the chain, kick out, punch again. Like, it was just like, boom, show the devastation there. I kind of like that.
I can see that.
That was it.
Yeah. And, I mean, both guys worked hard.
Sure.
There was some fun stuff in there, I would say, especially towards the end. Some fun stuff toward the finishing sequence. We got a big dive from Taker, but, you can talk about the positives. I would not call that a good match by any means.
Oh,
it's
no.
just totally hampered by the weird psychology at play. And
some shoddy psychology.
It's a shame because we've seen these two guys have a couple of great matches. And we've seen Taker have so many good matches on TV during this run, and it just sucks that on pay-per-view we don't get that. We get robbed of that because had this just been a straight singles match where Brock cheats to win and uses the chain, this match would have been fine. It would have been really fun. And unfortunately, like I said at the top of the show, I think it falls in there with the Rest in Peace match with Giant Gonzalez and the Final Curtain match with Goldust as just stipulations that were just there and didn't really matter at all, and just unfortunately the worst of their three matches we've seen so far. Lesnar and Taker, that is.
Oh, by far, yeah, absolutely the worst one. And I think it's because let's see, he checked off throwing hands.
He did.
He checked off his veteran instincts,
right,
about going for the pin early, and he got the chain.
He did get the chain.
I guess they were wrong. Those weren't the keys to victory.
No,
so
every good game plan, it can always fall apart.
Well, there was secret option 4, which was let Vince get involved on your behalf. He didn't choose that.
That will always get the win right there.
Exactly.
Well, folks, you've heard our opinion. We want to hear yours. Hit us up on social media at Talking Taker, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Let us know if you liked this match more than we did, what your thoughts on it were, all that good stuff.
Surprise me.
If you would watch the McMahon Show starring Steffi on the WWE Network Extreme, the Uncensored Network.
Too hot for TV section. Like Jerry Springer.
Bring it on, people. But we always love to hear that. So hit us up and subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on there as well. Let us know. Want to hit up a few housekeeping notes from last week's episode that we didn't mention or that came up after then. My buddy Robert Cooler over here on my side of town, used to go to church with and work alongside. He posted on Facebook something that I totally forgot to mention on last week's show. He said A-Train hitting Taker with the 2x4 was, and the match they had was all garbage, but some of the shenanigans were funny during that build-up. And then the SummerSlam going back to the McMahon Show there for a minute. The SummerSlam song was... Do you remember what it was, Travis? It's not on the network.
Ooh, it's not. Then no, I don't. Is it Puddle of Mud?
No. Saint Anger by Metallica.
Saint Anger around my neck. Oh my goodness, I hate that song.
I did too. But he he reminded us of that, and that's another
Good
music
heavens.
edit on the network. Totally forgot that, but I remember that being played over and over and over again on TV.
Well, it's Metallica. There's no way they're going to let that go on the network. They didn't. We were on Napster for like 14 years.
Touche.
So,
Good point.
Golly, that song blows, man.
And another one of our friends, Jay Stanley, we've mentioned him on the show a bit. He texted me and was just agreeing with us that A-Train stuff was brutal. There was nothing positive about A-Train, and said he was comparing A-Train with Baron Corbin in our text with each other, and saying he would take Corbin over A-Train. It's calling A-Train the worst, and I don't know, man. That's a pick-em in my opinion. I don't know.
I agree. I think.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you've always been an undercover Corbin fan.
What?
You were, man.
What? I liked him in NXT when he had a gimmick. Was like, let's count how fast his matches can be.
That was cool.
I don't want to see him work for 25 minutes against Seth Rollins in the main event, or any main event.
He's winning the title next month, isn't he?
Without question.
Oh God. Anyway,
can you imagine if he's the champ on one show and Shane McMahon is on the other show?
They're like purposely driving people to AEW. It's bizarre.
Anyway,
well,
they hit that Undertaker button. Boop, ratings are low.
That's right, man. Bring him back. Yeah. Well, oh God, I can't. I'm stuck. My brain just exploded thinking about all that. But anyway, folks. Another shout out to one of our fans, Polly Richards, on Twitter. I did a quick little giveaway for a new Take Her Easy shirt, feeling generous this past weekend, and he won it. So you got to stay tuned to us on social media. We like to give stuff away sometimes, so look out, Polly. We're going to be sending that out your way soon. A couple people did comment about this week's matchup. The Downturn podcast said Paul Heyman doing the old Vince Russo booking here with the on a pole match. And he said he had no idea why Vince interferes. It's never really explained. But I think we'll get to it next week here on the show. And then Randy Turco, he replies, not really talking about the match, but something else during this time was this WrestleMania 19 game for the GameCube. You remember this game at all?
I never played it. I remember our friend Tyler had it, or he had GameCube. He had a GameCube, but I don't remember. I remember him and Kevin were in this game like on a weekend. But like, those are guys who watch WrestleMania 18 win. I never played this game. When you're about to tell us what the plot is, I had no idea. It sounds like Backstage Assault. Yeah,
you just gotta go look it up on Twitter. This has the most bizarre storyline mode I've ever heard of in this game. It looks fantastic. We might need to play it sometime.
Maybe. I shunned GameCube. I shunned Nintendo because GameCube was a disc.
I feel like I'm not even sure if I've ever even played a GameCube game in my life. I played
one Zelda game on it one time.
Yeah.
That's it. So.
Well, anyway, folks, if you had that one, let us know about it if you enjoyed it, if you played it out there. And of course, we're trying to push up to 2,000 followers on Twitter, so if you can help us rise above that and share this podcast with your friends and fellow wrestling fans, we will drop you a bonus episode with another Royal Rumble retro watch-along covering either 91, 92, or 93 that we skipped along the way. But we'll go back to it and cover it since we've had fun doing it once we get over 2,000 followers. So go ahead and help us out with that. Get you a bonus show. And folks, we're going to keep this motorcycle rolling on to the last ride up to next week's episode. This week is the penultimate match of the Biker Taker era. If you can believe it, folks, episode 99 next week. We're going to, after all this time, after all these months, we're going to close out the Biker Taker era. We're going to bury it alive as Vince McMahon takes on The Undertaker and buries him 6 feet under. How do we get to this point, man?
It's like, talk about limping to the finish line. It's crazy.
A-Train, Biker Chain, and Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon, yep.
Vince McMahon.
A-Train, Biker Chain, Vince McMahon.
Well, we'll be talking about that Survivor Series 2003 next week. I've never seen that one either, so it'll be interesting to check that out. But I want to give you guys a heads up, folks. We will close out the Biker Taker era next week. We'll hit some loose ends. We'll cover that match. We'll cover some stats and figures and interesting side notes about the Biker Taker era. And you and I, Travis, we will do as we did with the original Deadman era. We will give you our top 10 matches of this era from June 2000 through November 2003, our top 10 pay-per-view Undertaker matches. We'll go back and forth with those. We will let you guys vote on your top 10. So listeners, start thinking about that run. Go back and look at the match list. Go back through our archives and start thinking about what your top 10 of this era was, because we'll do a fans vote as well. And we'll let you guys vote on who you think has the better top 10 between us. So we're excited to do that. And actually, that was fun. To do with the last one, and
it's crazy how different they were.
They were, man. I've been thinking. I've got my preliminary list. Maybe next week's match might sneak in there. Who knows? I'll leave a spot open for it just in case. But my top 3, I know what they are, but they keep changing in order. I don't know which one is that. You ask me on a different day. I keep going back and forth what my number 1 is.
There you go. I'll be honest with you, I don't even have a clue. So I'm interested to go back and research and look at all of them and see. So there's none of them there are a couple of them that stand out, but not as many as the first go around when we did this first time. There's so many. It's like that's it. Some of these I'm gonna have to really sit and think about. So I feel like he had better matches on television.
Yeah, and
in this era.
We could include TV ones, but then it could start getting out of control, and I guess our podcast is about the pay-per-view matches, so I think we got to stick with those.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I feel like he had better TV matches in this era, whereas in the earlier era he had better matches on pay-per-view and not as good ones on TV. So it's weird.
It's a good point.
It's weird. Anyway, well, ladies and gentlemen, another good point was if you were there at No Mercy in the first Mariner Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, maybe you thought you went to Great American Bash, and that's why you were so asleep and you were upset and you had no idea what was happening. You're like, wait, isn't that the Punisher? Or was it me, Mark Callis? Where's the Heart Punch? And maybe you were just wondering what was going on. You were thinking that you were at the Bash. But anyway.
Also just woke up out of a coma.
Hey, it can happen. It can happen. So, anyway, if you were there, let us know what you thought. What did you think about the main event? And then what did you think about this match as well? Because we all know this. What did you think about the main event? What did you think about this match as well? Because we all know this wasn't the main event, even though it was the main event. It wasn't the main event in their eyes. So, yeah, let us know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you on next week's episode 99. Take her easy. When you're driving light of part, get your favorite private part. It's Love and Show. It's a place where things come together. Look at the hands on this chick in heather. Fluffy girls on trampolines, time to loosen those blue jeans. It's Love and Show.